Hey everybody. Hi, my name is Tiit Helimets and I am a principal dancer with San Francisco Ballet. And I am here today to tell you the story of Swan Lake. And as you can see, this Swan Lake is a program 7 and it runs from May 20th to June 9th. And I'm going to draw you the story of Helgi Thomason's version of Swan Lake. So let's get right to it. All right, let's get rid of all of this. And here we go. Story of Swan Lake. So in our version, we start with the prologue, and what happens in the prologue is we tell the story of what happened before. And the story starts with Princess Odette walking by the lakeside. So let's draw beautiful Princess Odette. And she is just here walking by the lakeside. And she has a lovely dress on. And a pair of beautiful pointe shoes. And as she's walking by the lakeside, oh, and she also needs hair. There we go. She has beautiful long hair. And as she's walking by the lakeside, she encounters Van Rothbard. And because it was very unexpected for her, she gets a little bit scared because Van Rothbard looks a little intense. And as he is just sort of sitting by the rock, and he's very menacing. So he's got these big eyebrows. And kind of a shaggy hair long over his shoulders. He's got this big bushy coat that's sort of cascading around. And Princess Odette gets very scared and tries to run away. So he immediately stops her. Says, "You can't run away from me," because Van Rothbard is actually a sorcerer, and he casts a spell on her. So let's see this spell sort of being cast. Wow. And what happens is that he turns our beautiful Princess Odette into a swan. Many, many, many years later, in a kingdom that's also nearby the lake, there is a young prince, Siegfried, and he has turned 21 years old, coming of age. Everybody's throwing a big party in his honor. So let's draw a beautiful Prince Siegfried. He wears a handsome coat. And everybody is there to surprise him at his birthday party. There he goes. He's wearing nice black boots, which we don't have room for. And he is there. As the birthday party culminates and everybody is so happy and Prince Siegfried is so joyous, his mother arrives, the queen. And she's there to surprise him with a great gift. She approaches him and says, "Welcome, my son. I have a beautiful gift for you." And as he sees what his mother is giving to him, he sees that that's a bow that's fit for a king. And he has never seen such wonderful craftsmanship. So let's draw him a bow. Let's just make sure the beautiful bow is on his hand. He's very excited because he likes to hunt. So let's just make sure that we can see the bow in his hand. So it sort of extends out and sort of thin on the top, and then it curves like this. And let's put an arrow in it that's already prepared for a hunt. And as the mother gives him the bow and he is so excited, she also says, just like you said, this bow is fit for a king, which is who you will be. And because of that, we are holding a big ball tomorrow so that you can choose from out of princesses that have been invited to the ball who will be your queen. Now, the prince is absolutely shocked by this news. He does not realize, and he is very sad. He wasn't prepared for this, and many of his friends dance for him, and it helps a little bit, but it's just not, his spirits are down. And as the party finishes off in the evening, he remains outside of the grounds of the castle alone. And he decides, I'm gonna go and hunt with this bow. And as he's thinking about it, he sees a flock of birds, a flock of swans flying by. So let's do a beautiful flock of swans. So they're all just flying by. And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of swans. They're all just flying by. And let's just see, he notices them and runs after them. Let's just make him look towards them, because in ballet, when we look towards something, we always just lift our arm towards where we're looking. And let's even make him look up. Like he's looking up towards these swans that he's following around. And the swans are actually flying on a lake nearby. Now we're in the second act. In the lake nearby, it's a very dramatic setting. There are lots of mountains there, and it is also very late at night at this point. But he uses this as this great opportunity. There is a great moon shining above the lake that casts a reflection. And as he is following the swans, he sees this one swan circling the lake and starting to land nearby. And he thinks that's a golden opportunity for him to catch this swan. So I'm going to try a smaller version of the prince here. And he is just sitting down. He is aiming with his crossbow. That's on his hand. And there's an arrow here. He's leaning down. Because the swan is landing from here. And just so that you can see this a little bit better, let's get rid of this part over here. So there is a very dramatic setup over here. As he sees the swan lands, she lands, and she's still, the swan is still flying from here, spreading her wings, coming in from the flight. And as he's taking the aim, something is starting to happen. The swan is transforming. And he is shocked for what he sees because the swan has turned into a Swan Maiden. She's just flying in. So Prince hides on the side of the lake, and as he sees the Swan Maiden, he's so taken by her beauty that he approaches her, and she is very scared and tries to run away, but Prince swears to not hurt her or harm her in any way. And he asks, "Who are you?" And she says, "My name is Odette, and I'm a princess." And he says, "Oh, if you're a princess, I must bow to you." So he bows because he's got good royal manners. And he says, "What are you doing here?" And she explains to him that she has been turned into a swan, and there is one evil man who has done that, and his name is Von Rothbart. But if there's somebody who will swear his eternal love to me, the spell will be broken, and I will be no longer a swan. And as she's saying this, the prince is thinking to himself, she's so beautiful. She's so magical and so beautiful. I must swear my eternal love to her. And as he is about to do that, somebody appears behind a rock. And that is sort of bird-like creature, Von Rothbart, with this bushy hair. And he has this huge wings. And he frightens Siegfried. So Siegfried draws his bow again, immediately ready to kill him, but Odette runs in front of him and says, "No, no, no, no. If you kill him, I will also die." And his soul is also tied to me. And then Siegfried just scares Von Rothbart away, and he also finds out that Odette has her sisters who are also being turned into swans, and that night they all turn into human form. The whole entire act is is full of dance. They're all happy that there is somebody who might save them. And Prince and Odette dance beautiful pas de deux, and he falls deeply, deeply in love with Odette. But the whole night they walk around, but the morning is coming, and Odette says, I must go now, and he sees Odette transforming into a swan, and all of her sisters also transforming into a swan, and they all fly away over the lake. On the next day at the palace, Queen has planned a big party. And let's draw this grand ballroom with arches. Let's just do it like big arches. And the Queen has invited princesses from all over the world. This is the ballroom. And over here, there is a big window overlooking the castle grounds. The Queen has asks Prince Sigrid to come, and she introduces him to all of these princesses, and he dances with them. And when she asks him, which one is your chosen one? He says, no, I cannot marry them, because in his mind, he still is thinking about Odette. He really feels he's truly in love with her. And suddenly, that chaos of him rejecting the princesses, they hear announcement that there are two uninvited guests. And to his surprise, he sees somebody who very close looks exactly like Odette arrive with an elderly man who he doesn't recognize but seems familiar. And Odette is dressed all in black. She wears this beautiful black gown with jewels, and she looks exotic. And he immediately says, I must introduce you to my mom. And he introduces her to his mom, and they dance. They dance the whole evening together. I'm just going to draw you beautiful pose from third act. Prince Sigrid is wearing a very nice coat. And he is so happy and surprised that she's there. He did not expect to see her. And she is being supported by him, wearing this stunning, beautiful black dress. Just make it very black. Let's just add some jewels. Could we do as often there are different jewels on it. Sometimes it's red, sometimes it's blue, sometimes it's just, and they dance and dance, and the older man is sort of looking over them all the time, sort of keeping eye on what's happening, and he's sort of towering here. Over them, often does gestures to the window, and Prince doesn't quite understand, but is not too concerned with this because he's so taken by this beautiful guest that has arrived, who he's convinced is Odette. And the prince introduces her to his mom and is suddenly stopped as he's doing that by Rothbard. And Rothbard says, you must swear your eternal love to her. And he says, absolutely, and he swears his eternal love. She's the one I want to marry. The Rothbard turns him around to face the window because at the window there is a vision of Odette. Who is saying, that is not me. That is Odile. And that old man is one Rothbard. And Odile is one Rothbard's daughter. And Odette runs back to the lake. She's so sad, and the prince feels defeated that he had betrayed her. He runs immediately after her. He knows exactly where to go. As Odette runs back to the lake, we see her looking very sad. Now the spell will never be broken. She must remain a swan for the rest of her life. And the prince runs back to the lake and says, they tricked me into this. I still love you forever. And he is very sad. He begs for her forgiveness. He's holding her arms and is kneeling down on the ground in front of her. And they dance a beautiful pas de deux together, knowing that despite the circumstance, he loves her. And jubilant, one Rothbard arrives at the lake celebrating his triumph defeat. And he arrives and he sees, he's more like in his bird form at that point. He sees them hugging and he opens up his wings and separates them and throws them apart. And they engage, Rothbard and Siegfried engage in the ferocious fight. And Odette sees this, and she realizes that the only way she can save him from Rothbard killing Siegfried is if she dies. She runs up to the tallest cliff that is now near the lake. And the waves are now heavily beating up against this cliff. No one will survive if they would jump down from it. And she runs all the way up and dives into the lake. Just draw her jumping in. The minute she hits the water, Rothbard is defeated. But the prince has seen this and cannot bear living for the rest of his life without her. He runs up the cliff and dives in. Right after her. And as the Rothbard is defeated, the prince and the Swan Queen, Odette, are united in heaven. And to their amusement, they can look down and see that all of Odette's sisters have now turned into their human form, and the spell has been broken, even though they were not there. They saved all of her sisters. And that is the end of the story. And I hope that you can see Helgi Tomlinson's production this coming week and follow the story along a little bit better. And I just want to tell you again that it runs from the 20th of May till the June 9th. And I really hope to see you there. That will be it from me. I hope that you enjoyed this little Swan Lake preview, and I hope that you enjoy the stream. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of the day. Bye.